Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command World War II World at War. It is April of 1945 in our Let's Play series where we are playing as the Axis powers. The Russian, the Soviet Union has fallen, China has fallen, most of the rest of the world has fallen, and the Western Allies' invasion of France is in a dire strait. In the last turn, the British lost 3 or 4 land units. The Americans lost 2 land units, 2 more land units on transports at sea. They're being driven back after an initial nearly successful invasion that looked like Paris was threatened. A breakout was on the verge of materializing, but Russia fell just in time for Germany to race troops west, and since then they have thrown the Allies back with substantial losses for the Allied forces. The British Navy lost 2 carriers in the Channel last turn. As I said, the Americans lost 2 transports, and the Allies were driven back from sort of the Normandy region, along with Brittany, and Normandy had largely been in the Allied control, but last turn a quasi-blitzkrieg threw them back to the Brittany Peninsula, and all they have is this narrow strip of land without much to show for it. This turn may be the end of the Allied invasion of France. Probably they'll have one more turn afterwards with some mop-up work, but that's the situation. Meanwhile, the Channel is becoming precarious for Allied naval assets with the loss of multiple British warships last turn. Things are not looking up. A second landing at Amsterdam was also thwarted by the Italian 10th Army, the 11th Army, and some German tanks out of Antwerp. That's the situation in Western France. In South America is beginning to see that the Axis powers need to be stopped, and Chile just declared war on the Axis. Brazil has already fallen to Argentina, which is now garrisoning it, and Argentina is preparing for the invasion of Chile following the declaration of war by the Chilean government. If Chile falls, the Argentines will surely advance north along the coast to take out Peru, which is also with the Allied powers. Ecuador is still neutral, however, but Colombia and just now Venezuela have joined the Allies as well. So the world is turning, or what's left of it, is turning more increasingly against the Axis powers. Meanwhile, in Egypt, a renewed German offensive has retaken Alexandria and is threatening Cairo with being captured as well. If Cairo falls, German armored forces are set to reinforce Italian forces on the northern coast of Libya and perhaps retake northern Africa for the Axis, or drive deep into the heart of British colonial Africa, taking out capitals at Khartoum, Massawa, Berba, and potentially driving even further down toward Nairobi and also towards South Africa. In Egypt, a German invasion of western India has begun with the destruction of a British corps at Karachi. Although unable to take the city itself, it's likely the British will rush reinforcements there. However, they can't rush too many reinforcements because the Japanese, now freed up after invading and taking over China, have begun an invasion of eastern India. Japan is plagued by severe supply and logistical problems in its invasion of India, and thus for at least the moment, their invasion has been limited in its success. The British have substantial forces there. The Americans have some heavy tanks there as well, so it will not be an easy fight for the Japanese, but that pressure the Japanese are putting up may well keep things open and free-flowing for the Germans as they move into western India. So a two-pronged invasion of India with the Axis powers collaborating there. Meanwhile, American submarines continue to be a bit of a thorn in the side for the Japanese, despite the fact that large numbers of American naval forces have been destroyed. An American landing on Java has largely been thrown back. An American army was just destroyed at Bangdong last turn, and the Japanese are advancing to try and retake Leduc Oil and Surabaya. If that succeeds, the intention would be to turn on Dili and then perhaps on northern Australia with an effort to maybe even take Australia out of the war, if that is practicable. The American Navy is larger than the Japanese all told, but it's not totally clear where the American forces are. You can see here, actually, we just identified an American escort carrier here off the eastern coast of Australia, so that's something to keep an eye on. German merchant, Japanese... what do you call it? What are these things? Japanese maritime aircraft have not yet really spotted much in the way of Americans out in this direction. So, anyway, guys, that's going to basically be the summation of the start of this turn, and we're going to go ahead and get rolling here. The Japanese have already really done everything that they can, I think, this turn. So it's really more about preparing ourselves for our next turn as we throw some troops on some transports, and that's about the only other thing that we really need to do here. I do want to reinforce Japan proper, though, just in case the Americans get antsy and try and land some troops here. So with that being said, let's jump in. We're going to be moving into May, I think it is, of 1945. I think the game goes to 47. I could be wrong. It might end in 45, but I think it goes to 47. So we still could have a couple of years left in this conflict. More Norwegian partisans operating on the Norway coast. The Quiet India movement is causing unrest in India. So that's, I guess, a pro-Axis movement. President Roosevelt dies. Truman takes the oath of office. Scientists report progress in advanced tank development, 73%. Wait, don't we already have advanced tanks? Industrial level 4. Japan develops anti-tank. Oh, okay, that's useful. Anti-tank level 2 basically means all Japanese infantry units are better against tanks, which is good because Japan basically has no tanks. Our economy is rolling. The Americans have some heavy strategic bombers based out of Sicily. It looks like they may have developed the level 5 strategic bomber. It looks like a B-36 Dominator based off the graphic there. Not even a B-29 by the looks of it. Might actually be a B-29. I didn't see what direction the pistons were pointed. Let's see if you can see the British sent more reinforcements to Karachi there after the destruction of their one unit. Meanwhile, some of their units are falling back a little bit in eastern India, probably due to supply problems of their own. India is a tricky place to fight. I don't know why the British are reinforcing to the east of Narvik. That's just opening Narvik up for our German unit to move in, and Narvik's a supply city. So we don't have a headquarter unit here, but if we take a supply city, our guys will have at least moderate supply. Oh shit, British aircraft carriers moving in here near Kandari, attacking our carriers. We just obliterated their air wing. American carriers also spotted. Shit. There may be a major naval battle brewing here in the Central Pacific or Western Pacific. I'm not really sure what that area is classified as. You can see the British are evacuating their naval assets out of the channel. American submarines are moving down to deal with our carriers. We'll have to see how things play out there. That carrier of ours suffered some pretty heavy damage. Meanwhile, strategic bombers are hitting Paris. The Americans are carpet bombing Paris. Those are heavy strategic bombers. British escort fighters are jets. So they do have the advantage in technology, both with their heavy bombers and with their fighter aircraft. We have some... I don't even know if we have advantage in numbers. We have a lot of air units there, but they definitely have superior technology with their air units and superior numbers with their air units here. As you can see, they're hitting Western Europe pretty heavily. The advantage, though, is because Russia fell, vast swaths of our industry are just simply out of reach of their aircraft here. Meanwhile, you can see we do have a good number of interceptors there. So, you know, the weather has turned in their favor, and you can see there's a lot of air activity occurring here this turn in Western France. But we've been intercepting most of those raids. And even though they're mostly escorted, we are doing damage. I mean, they're doing damage to us, but we are doing damage to them, which is going to somewhat insulate us. They're obviously trying to save their troops and also deal our economy a bit of a crippling blow, but I don't think they have enough at hand. British tactical bombers in India and in North Africa. They look like mosquitoes. Canadian destroyers bombarding out of the Ionian Sea. British destroyers moving in here as well. So they did pull their naval units out, but now they're moving their naval units back into the channel. There's a British battleship. Be interesting to see if it stays put. British are attacking out of Cairo. They did hurt that Syrian army unit. Is that a Romanian or Bulgarian army unit that's suffering here? The Italian garrison at El Agheila continues to be the heroes of North Africa. They've held out there for like 8 months. Pretty action-packed turn thus far. We may have a major naval battle shaping up in the Pacific, but we'll see. We also may get a chance to deal more damage to the British Navy if they don't pull these ships out from the coast. At least this light cruiser will be destroyed, I think, assuming the weather cooperates and we don't get rain. I'm really tempted to like land at Portsmouth or something like that once we clear this area of enemy vessels. It does look like they're going to pull their units back. Or at least that battleship was pulled back. More Norwegian partisans. Access supply hindering on Crete. And we should be into May, I think it is, of 45. I really don't even need my tactical bombers to help out on the land. St. Malo damage, Paris damage from bombing. Partisans. British heavy cruiser spotted down here, or Australian heavy cruiser. So we do have an American carrier, or a British carrier spotted here. Alright, so we're going to go after that carrier. We can see the Americans have another carrier that we just identified that we're going to intercept. Wow, we destroyed half of its air wing. How did we... Are we flying... Oh, shit. We're flying fighter cover. Fuck! Alright, go after it that way. Level 3 damage. Alright, so we got the British carrier there. Now we'll go after the American carrier. Wow, 7. It's a pretty devastating strike right there. Down she goes into the deep blue sea. An American carrier and a British carrier both destroyed this turn. Can we get some recon going out here, guys? No. Alright, I need to get some of these ships into port to protect them from American submarines. I'm curious if there's any other... It doesn't look like there's any other naval vessels out this way. There is a British submarine here in the port. We can bomb the sub in port. We'll get them into port. Actually, can I get them anywhere else? It doesn't look like it. Alright, let's pull this back to Manila. I'm going to move the bulk of my heavy warships out this way just in an effort to make sure I don't get surprised and obliterated by any other American naval units that might be moving in. We know there's at least an escort carrier off the east coast of Australia. We don't know much else beyond that. Huh. So it looks like the Americans must have oh, nope, there's the headquarter unit. I don't know why it's stuck here in the corner. That seems like a silly thing for the AI to do. In any event. We're going to get this headquarter unit back in ships. We're going to start preparing for the invasion of Australia, I think. So another major naval victory there for us. We destroyed 2 Allied carriers. Take a look at the reports. The Americans are actually 1 weaker than on 25. British air fleet's down to 23. Meanwhile, how are these guys supplied? Their supply situation is not good. It's so damn hard to supply these troops into India. Alright, we'll take this Indian city here at Chittagong. These tanks can be upgraded? Oh, yes. Okay, Japan has finally developed level 1 tanks. So that'll be useful. See, we're just going to lose horrific casualties here in India because we don't have sufficient forces or sufficient supplies, really, to do heavy damage to the troops. So this is really going to be a bit of a slog as we try and get moving here. Okay, so we've got 2 headquarter units supporting each advance on each side. Some of these units need to reinforce. We also don't have enough headquarters units here for our bombers. We need to move these units forward a bit to keep them close to our headquarters units. To try and keep them in supply. We really need to take like Calcutta or a supply city where we can draw better supply. Even with 3 headquarters units moving in here, it's not enough. We can see the Americans actually have an army unit. So if the Americans are going to pour heavy reinforcements, a heavy tank unit, an army unit, an air unit, they're going to pour heavy reinforcements into India. It's going to make things a little bit more difficult. Alright, so let's see. This cavalry can attack 2 to 2. These guys are going to flank. There we go. Knocked out another British unit at Karachi, and this time we were able to take the city. Our headquarters unit can move way up here now. And our other units can catch up as well. So Karachi has fallen. That should give us a source of supply through the port here. And then we can advance on Rory, Jodhpur, Quetta, Multan, and really threaten the rear of the British Indian position as we sweep in here with a lot more troops. Meanwhile, trying to get these guys a little bit closer. I need better supplies. What I'll do is I'll reinforce here. Maybe it will lure them out of Cairo to attack us. No, but we can't attack out of Alexandria yet. We don't have sufficient forces, so you troops at Eligala, you're going to have to try and hang on. Alright, so our tanks here. Nice. Alright, let's swap these guys. Shattered! Got him! Alright. So, we can advance into Sicily. 3 American air units are here in Sicily. I'm guessing they'll pull back to North Africa here, but these are strategic bombers and medium bombers. I think there's another bombing unit here at Palermo, but Sicily should be liberated next turn. So, bully for us. There's an interceptor unit there, too. Alright. So that's good. Meanwhile, let's see what we want to do with our air units here. I can't hit that transport. Can I hit them from here? I can. Alright, so we're going to knock out the 2nd U.S. whatever it is. So we got some escorts that are helping us out get there. Down they go. So another American land unit completely destroyed at sea. We're going to go ahead and use our maritime bombers against the British cruisers. More interceptors, more escorts. The Allies are losing heavy fighter cover in these intercept raids against our bombers. Again, they're losing very heavy casualties for their air units. So that should limit their bombing effectiveness against us for the next few turns. Alright, we'll get these guys to go after these destroyers. So a light cruiser and a destroyer and a merchant ship all sunk at sea. We need to reinforce some of these fighter units. They're going to lose a huge amount of their experience. But it's just what it is. Okay. So I think that does it for our air forces here. Well, we do have one more Stuka. I'd rather... I'm going to use him against the enemy armor, I think it is. I don't want to attack his ship for no purpose. If we can't sink it, I don't really see the point in attacking it. Alright, so our heavy tanks there will knock out that British ground unit. Pull back. Blitz these guys in. Destroy this American bomber unit. Nice. Heavily damage that American ground unit. We're going to pull these guys out. They're too damaged to do much. They'll attack there. Very nice. Alright, so we'll move these guys in. They should be able to knock out what's left of this unit. Very nice. These guys can roll in here. Are we gonna do it, guys? Are we gonna knock what's left of the British army out? Yes! France is... I don't want to say liberated, because that's probably the wrong word. But the Allies have been evicted from France. Oh, man, we could have destroyed that unit at C2. The Allies have been kicked out of the continent for a second time. A second... I guess not really a Dunkirk, but a second time we have evicted the Western Allies from the coast of France. Let's take a moment to savor this triumph. All right. Well, that's good. Now we need to prepare for the cross-channel invasion. I don't want to move my torpedo boats in quite yet, because I think that would be probably foolish. I don't think I can have more than 2 amphibious transports. That's kind of weird. But it doesn't look like I can have more than 2 amphibious transports for Germany. It looks like they have a stack limit on that. Could probably research it. Amphibious warfare. We have nothing for amphibious warfare researched. So we'll research level 2 there. I thought we already had level 5 tanks, but apparently only level 4. Alright, so maybe we don't actually want this guy here, because we're gonna want more than a corps at sea. We're gonna want probably 2 armies or maybe 2 armored units. We need to take a port, basically. We need to ensure we do that. Can we fly recon? Yes, we can. Alright, so we can fly That's the other benefit here, is we can start flying some recon strikes. Against these guys and start get a sense of what's in the channel and maybe knock some of these battleships out. But that was a very successful turn. The British Army is now down to 36 units. The Americans are under 60 now. If we take a look at national morale, the British are down to 50. The Americans are down to 69. They plummeted several points last turn. That's a good turn for the Germans. Italy has been liberated. The invasion of Sicily has begun. The invasion of Egypt is continuing. It's not done, but it's continuing. The invasion of Western India is continuing. We're continuing the assaults here. Whoa! God damn it. I can't take advantage. We drove them out of the city, and I don't have anyone who can follow it up. No one else can get there. Fuck. Well, we did have success there in northern India here, driving this British corps out. But we weren't able to actually take the city, unfortunately. Huh. Lame. I need, like, paratroopers. Can we build Japanese paratroopers? We can't. But why not? Oh, I think we already have some, actually. Right? Yeah. Damn. Alright. Well, we'll continue the invasion of Eastern India. Hopefully we can get to Calcutta or something soon. 2 more Allied naval units destroyed in the Pacific. What's the British Navy down to? They're down to 21 units versus 24 for the Americans. The Japanese are at 16. Actually, we don't want to forget about these subs. So let's do some recon with our own subs. So we're gonna, the intention is to use these subs as reconnaissance forces for the fleet, so we get a better sense of what's out ahead of us before we race into it. For example, this cruiser down here. I want to operate this maritime aircraft. Probably over here. We can try and maybe strike at some Allied shipping as we start uncovering it and as we start advancing eastward. Alright, well that's going to do it, I think, for this turn. Oh, one other thing. We don't want to forget about Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Alright, so these guys are dug in. The Chilean army is dug in here near Santiago. I don't have any more units available to us for Argentina yet. For Germany, what else do we want to purchase? Like, what else can we buy? So we can get some strategic bombers. We can get medium bombers. We can get tactical bombers. So we can get more TAC bombers. I suppose that's worthwhile, given we're trying a cross-channel invasion. We can also get more fighters, which I think will be useful. It's going to take a while for them to show up. Alright, so we're purchasing some more fighters, purchasing more tactical bombers. You can see we've got a lot of units in the queue here for Germany. Japan less so. A couple of destroyers. Italy's got some motor torpedo boats. For Japan, is there anything else we want to buy? Kamikazes? Why would we do that? Why would we start kamikazes on this stage of the war? We can't purchase them? Do we not have enough money? That's 420. What about maritime bombers? Those are 150, level 2 naval weaponry, level 2 long range. Ooh, yes. I would like that very much. Thank you. All right. Actually, it only takes 1 turn. I'm just curious what these guys, like, why would, first off, why would kamikazes be used against ground? That's interesting. But it only takes 1 turn to build them. So, like, why not? We'll see. I don't know if they, like, die the second we use them, and that's why. I guess we'll find out. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it for this turn. We'll see what happens next turn. But we're into mid-1945, and the Germans have thrown the Allies out of Europe. So that's the situation right now on the ground. That's going to do it for this episode, though. So thank you once again for tuning in. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.